Okay.
Ready. I'm recording now the session. So, okay, Manu. So, welcome to the class number 9.1. Ready? Today we're going to be talking about, well, it's a very simple class.
Yeah.
It's going to be working about the class number 9, the first class of the week, number 9. So, it's going to be easy. I would like to
Yes.
start this class with a tweet that I found that it's going to help me to give you an idea about what we're going to talk about. Ready? So, I'm going to work over here. It's a tweet, right? I found it on Twitter. So, could you please help me to read it?
Okay. Someone tried to mock me. I was so tired that I didn't realize what was happening and said, no, thank you. He told me to give him my bag and wallet again. And he said, I'm okay, thanks. Just stood there for a minute and then walked away. I read the whole encounter. So, mock,
Mhm.
what I mean? Mock is I read through the whole encounter.
I read through the whole encounter. That's good, ready. But what is the meaning of mock?
Yes, yeah,
That's the question.
yes. See
Okay,
what I
good.
mean.
Mock somebody is when they are trying to rob you, like in the street when somebody says like,
Oh
"Don't
right,
move, give me everything, give me all your money," right?
all right. Mock.
So the woman says like, "Well, somebody tried to mock me, but I was so tired that I didn't realize what was happening, right? What was happening, and said, no, thank you." Sometimes when there are some homeless people, you know what is a homeless person?
Yes, people who live in the street, right?
Exactly that, like there are some homeless people who are asking you for money, and they what you said, it's like, no, thank you. Has it happened to you that you said like, no, thank you?
Yeah,
In that case, it happened the same. The woman was being mugged. Somebody was mugging her. Yes, that was robbing her, and she said, no, thank you. Then the man says again, "Hey, give me everything, your bag, your wallet again." And she said, "No, no, no, and thank you. I'm fine, thank you." So the man again, he just stood up there like he freeze there,
yeah.
and the man just got tired and walked away. He retired, right? Then the woman read through the whole encounter later. No, so in that case, this is an anecdote. It's something that what is the meaning of anecdote?
Yes, anecdote.
Yes, it's like a short story. No, it means
Yeah,
when we talk about an anecdote, what we're talking it's a short story that usually it's something funny or something incredible or something impressive, right? So in this case, my friend, what we're going to do is to try to learn how can we describe some of these anecdotes, right? So
right.
I'm going to have here an anecdote. Well, the anecdote starts with the contextualization. Yeah, this is the contextualization, the context, including the context, and I'm saying like yesterday in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to tell you the story. Yesterday in the afternoon, I was coming back home because I was shopping some groceries in the supermarket, and I was
Okay.
coming back home. And in the main avenue, which is important street here in Bogota, which is the NQS Avenue, when it's an important avenue,
Yeah.
I saw a terrible car accident. No, so the man was driving very fast and he was chatting at the same time. So he didn't see the red light, and of course, he crashed against a tree, right? So I'm telling that short story. That is my anecdote. It's not a
Yeah.
good
Short
anecdote,
story.
something like impressive, right? Not good at all, but it's something that I want to tell you. Like, yes, this happened, right? What is the last anecdote that you remember? Something short that you can tell me.
Well, yesterday, I was near Church Lourdes Church in the place. Um, some people were giving free beers, see? And um, a few friends and me. Uh, I was waiting for the free beer until 6 p.m.
Oh, okay.
but just one for person. Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then we come home each other,
Okay.
and that's is the short story.
That's the short story. That's the anecdote, no? So good.
Yeah.
Excellent, good. So in that case, when we talk about short stories, usually what we describe is an anecdote that happened and other situations that were happening simultaneously, no? For
Oh,
example,
okay. Okay.
in this case, what we said is that first, I give the contextualization. I was coming back. I was coming back home, you know. I
Okay.
also, if I want to include more details, I can do it. For example, when I was coming back home because I was shopping. I was shopping some groceries. That's another
Okay.
possibility. I was shopping some groceries, right? And then I'm saying like, okay, and I saw what happened. I saw a car accident. No, I saw the accident. So I
Yeah.
was like there. I saw the accident. Like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? No, and then I'm saying like, okay, but it happened because the guy, he was driving fast. He was driving so fast, right? At the same time that he was chatting, right? So in that case, I'm using the different situations that happen simultaneously in order to
Okay.
describe something that I want to tell you, like to create the whole story, right? The whole
All
anecdote.
right. All right.
So in a past story, or when we talk about the past, a past story, we can do it using simple past, no? So for example, I saw the accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, for example, the man
Well,
broke a bone, broke an arm, for example. Yeah, simple past, easy. Yeah, but depending the situation that I'm describing, there are going to be certain actions that are progressive around the story. Yes,
all
actions that
right.
are long and they cross a big part of the story. For example, the action that I was doing, that I was coming back home, or the action that I was doing before, they are long actions. I just didn't do it just one moment and that's it. They are actions that occupy a long time in the story. Or for example, that he was driving so fast. He wasn't
Yeah.
driving just 1 second, he was driving for a long time. And
Yeah.
also that he was chatting. Also, it's an action that it's long, that it's a process or a progress, right? So
Right.
in this case, we're going to use the simple past. Yeah, that's one part. But the other part is learning to use the past progressive or past continuous. The past continuous, it's going to be the combination between verb to be in past, of course, was or were, that it's the verb to be in past, was or were, plus a verb in ing, plus a
Yeah.
verb in ing. In this case,
Yeah.
for example, was coming back home, was shopping, was driving, was chatting. Yeah, so in that case, we have a verb to be in past and then the verb in ing. Now, what is the purpose of the past continuous? I'm going to show you. Let me show you. So the purpose of the past continuous, it's super simple. It's going to be describing long actions in the past, right?
All
Describing
right.
long actions in the past. And it is going to be done or it's going to be used for two reasons. Number one, because I want to give context to the story. What was happening? For example, I was coming back home because I was shopping. All of this information is only part of the context. So I can use the past progressive, or the past continuous, in order to describe what was happening when the action happened. So what was the situation? What was the context when the action happened?
Okay.
Okay?
Excuse me, teacher. Let me open the door a second, please.
Don't worry, no problem, don't worry, go.
Thank you. All right, teacher.
Ready?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so in that case, the idea is simply like what we are going to do is to combine the past continuous and the simple past to create the whole story. So one part, it's talking about the context, and the other part, the other use, number two, it's going to be talking about long actions interrupted.
All right.
So when we talk about the past continuous, it's a situation that was happening, but then it was interrupted by another situation, right? The simple past, we know did, went, whatever, the very past. It's going to be used for talking about a specific situation. It's a specific situation, yeah, that it's, in that case, two different ways. One is the action that interrupted the first action, and second is always the next action. If I'm talking about a story and I want to describe what happened after or the next situation, then I'm going to use the simple past. That's the way. When we talk about, bueno, and after that happened, ta ta ta, and after that happened, ta ta ta. So the simple past is going to talk about the next action in a story. What happened after or what happened next in the story. Okay?
Like example, he was hitting a muffin when suddenly a dog rubbed his foot, like that.
For example, when you said then suddenly, it means that after that, by surprise, something different happened. And that
Yeah.
situation is going to be described with the past continuous, with the simple past, right?
All right. All right.
So for example, here I have always the first situation to happen is the one that it's longer. So I'm gonna use the past continuous. For example, I was sleeping. Yeah, that happened here. I was sleeping. I was sleeping. It means that I started sleeping at midnight, at midnight. And it was 7 a.m. So it was a long action that was happening for around 7 hours. And then the other situation happened. The situation that happened, that interrupted, that also is the second action, the next action, it's in simple past. So in the case, my mother called, right? What time my mother called? At 7 p.m. So in that moment, she interrupted the other action, the previous action that I was sleeping, with the first action, right?
All right.
Exactly. So in that case, we're going to combine the simple past with the past continuous. And I have two different sentences. Since I have two different sentences, I need to connect the two ideas. How can I connect the two ideas? With a connector. In this case, the connector might be when or might be why.
Why?
Okay. Depending on my intention, depending on what action I want to describe first, I can change the order. The most common one is to do it chronologically ordered. That it's past continuous, when, simple past. I was sleeping when my mother called. Organized. I was sleeping when my mother called. That's it. No?
Okay.
If I want to describe or if I want to give more emphasis to the other action, I can change it. I can say, for example, simple past, while, in that case, I go from here over there, while my mother called. So, sorry, my mother called while I was sleeping. So in that case, simple past, while past continuous. That's another possibility, right?
Okay,
Or
right.
even if I want to describe it using the connectors first, I can do it. I can say, for example, when my mother called, simple past, comma, I was sleeping. So I can use it when my mother called. Here I use a comma and then I was sleeping. So I can start with the connector using the sentence number one, comma, and the sentence number two. So of course, it's possible to do it with the while also. So I can say while.
While I was sleeping, my mother called.
Exactly. While I was sleeping, my mother called. So in reality, I am going to have four options to describe the same idea, depending on what I want to emphasize first. If I want to describe with more importance the action that interrupted, I use the past simple first. Or if I want to describe or give more importance to what I was doing, I use the past continuous first. So it depends on you, but the four options are exactly the same idea. Okay, Manu?
Okay, they say in the main.
Exactly, yes. Now, this is the first combination that I can do. That it's like one action is past continuous, the other one is simple past. But what happened if I want to describe what happened after this? Well, of course, I can, depending if it's an action, a short action, simple past, or if it's another long action, then I can also use the past continuous. For example, in the example of the anecdote, well, yesterday I was coming back home and I saw the accident. First
Yeah,
action, no? So I was coming back home because I was shopping. In that case, that is the context, no? So that's the
yeah,
context. So that's it. And well, the man was driving so fast and he was chatting. So in that case, it's a possibility that we can combine two actions in the past continuous if the two actions happen simultaneously at the same time. When we talk about both actions in past continuous, it's because they are long actions that were happening
yeah,
at the same time and simultaneously, right? And usually we use the connector while. For example, while he was driving, comma,
yeah.
he was chatting.
Sure. Okay.
Mhm. So in that case, there is not an action that interrupted the other one, but in that case, we have the two actions which are simultaneous because are both long actions that were happening at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to explain the facts of the why uh, that accident happens, right?
Exactly. Yes, like I mean,
Yeah,
that was the reason, no? So and then I can introduce the problem, no? So while he was driving, he was chatting. So I can use so, or I can use in consequence, or I can use therefore,
yeah.
therefore, which is a connector of consequence, sorry. Therefore, so consequently, he crashed, he crashed a tree. He crashed a tree. That was the real problem, no? So in that case, he was shooting and he was driving, and what is the action that interrupted? That he crashed a tree. Of course, the action that interrupted is in simple past. Okay, Manu?
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel? Easy questions, more or less?
No, no, no. Yeah, I understand a little bit how to explain a short story, the beginning, explain the context, and the facts, and the end.
Okay, very well. So it's pretty easy actually if you organize the idea or the situations of the idea in your mind.
Yeah,
If you start thinking like, well, what happened first, and then this was a process or it was a short action, so it's going to be easy to do that. Now,
right.
for example, here we have the face of the man. Doesn't have to be anything related to the guy, but here we have a story that starts yesterday while I, right? What do you think that is feeling this man? What is this feeling look like? What does it look like?
Well, thinking yesterday while uh, I was thinking about the business. Uh, I remember. Uh, uh, okay, yes, sir. While I was uh, thinking about the business, I remember that that I've been in my vacations, right? I I have in my vacations, right?
That I have been on vacations, maybe?
Right. Yes.
Okay, good. That's it. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, well, in that case, that might be the thinking of the man, no? So,
Yeah.
yesterday, while I was talking about business, I remember that I have been on vacation. So, he's making that face, no? Like disappointment. What is the meaning of disappointment?
Decepcionado.
Exacto. Bueno, decepción, disappointment.
Yeah.
Disappointed sería decepcionado y disappointment es el sentimiento de decepción, right?
All right.
So that's the face like a disappointment or frustration, no? He has the face
Yes.
of frustration or disappointment. So I'm going to think in an anecdote of my own life, which
Okay.
I felt, disappointed or frustrated. For example, well, it doesn't have to be real, no? So it can be a fake example, no problem. So yesterday, while I was going to the mall, I
Okay.
realized I didn't have money. So yesterday,
Or
while I was going to the mall, I realized that I didn't have money. So I felt frustrated because I wanted to buy something, but I couldn't because I realized that I didn't have money in the way while I was going to the mall, right?
all right, I have one. I have one. Yesterday, while I was riding my bike, I forgot my raincoat,
I forgot
and
my
it
what? Sorry,
start
I forgot my.
my raincoat,
You. Oh my god.
and it starts to rain.
So you see, frustrated. That's the face, like
Yeah,
fuck. Okay, it has happened to me too. Very good, excellent.
yeah,
Listo, Manu, excellent. So that's the way, that's the kind of activities or of expressions that we can describe over here, no? So short
yeah.
actions in which we can describe um, like two or three situations in the past, no? Try to think on two situations that were happening at the same time, that were simultaneous. For example, yesterday while I was cooking lunch, comma, I was watching a Colombia's match,
All right,
against
right,
Germany, Colombia's match. So in that case, doesn't have to be with the face. Don't worry, forget about the face, but
right.
like simultaneous actions. Yesterday, when I was cooking lunch, I took like 1 hour and a half, more
Oh,
or less. I also was watching Colombia's match, so
all right, all right.
simultaneous actions,
Like yesterday, while I was taking a bath, I was listening to music.
for example, right? So
Yeah,
two actions that were happening at the same time,
yeah,
probably 10 minutes, something like that,
yeah.
but long actions, exactly. Listo, muy bien, excellent, very good, bro. Now, what
Thank you.
happened if I want to describe one long action and many consequences afterwards? I can do it using one past continuous and many simple past. For example, yesterday while I was, sorry, here it's already the I, while I was driving, I got a flat tire,
But sorry. Okay,
you know? So I went to a workshop, but
okay,
tell me, yes.
okay. Yes.
So yesterday while I was driving, I got a flat tire, action number two. So I went to a workshop, but it was closed,
Okay.
or it was closed. So I took a taxi.
Oh,
I took a taxi and left the car in the workshop. That's it.
okay.
So
Those action in seconds, right?
exactly. So exactly like that. The first action in past continuous is only because I want to describe what was going on. And
Yeah.
then I start talking, as you said, in sequence. Then happened
Right.
that, then happened that, then happened that, then happened that. But all of them are single actions, not long, but single. And I'm talking in the chronological order. So I use simple past, simple past, simple past, simple past. Right?
Yes.
Okay. What about you? Tell me, thinking in an anecdote like that, one
Okay.
contextualization and many different sequence.
Wow. Well. Yesterday, while I was cooking a beans, I I went to take off my dogs, and I see a neighbor who talk about recipes. Then I released them. I let the beans uh, cook in the home, and when I
Return.
I return. I realize that the kitchen is full of smoke.
Oh
Smoke.
my gosh. Exactly. Very, very good. So careful. The verbs must be in past because it's a situation that
Yes.
happened yesterday, So yesterday
Yes.
while I was cooking beans, I went to take out my dog and I
Yeah.
saw a
I saw.
neighbor who was
Right.
at the time, right? And then when I returned, I realized that the kitchen was, not is, but was
Yes.
full of smoke, right?
Full
That
smoke.
was
Right.
just yesterday. Listo, Manu, excellent. So in that case, carefully, it's simply using, we have different situations. Sometimes we can use past continuous and simple past. Other times we have to use past continuous and past continuous. Other
Yeah.
times we have to use only one past continuous and many different simple past, depending on my intention. Okay, Manu, ready?
Okay. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
That's it. Very good. Bueno, my friend. So some of those situations also continue into our daily life, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, I don't know, when I was like, it was like what, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. I was
Yeah.
coming back home in my bicycle, right? And I had an accident. I crashed with a bus, right? So it was a terrible accident back then. But it was 10 years ago, right? So the accident already happened. But since that moment, since that moment until the present, I have had some consequences, some consequence of that action, right? But are
Right.
consequences or actions that started in the past and continue into the present. If that happened, if I want to use past actions that started in the past but they continue to the present, you know that we have to use the present perfect, and the present perfect continues. The present perfect, it's going to be the one that we know, no? So actions that have happened different times in different moments of my life, that's it. But when we talk about the present perfect continuous, it's a combination between present perfect and present continuous.
Yeah.
So the present perfect, it's going to be have plus the verb in past participle, And the verb in the present continuous is the verb to be plus the verb in ing. So the present perfect continuous, it's a combination of all of that. We're going to have the subject first,
Yeah.
and then the first auxiliary. The first auxiliary is the same, have or has. The second auxiliary, it's a combination between the past participle of the verb to be. What is the past
Yeah.
participle of the verb to be?
ing.
No, that's the ing, but the past participle is
All right. Is et. So ad. Right.
no, because it's not a regular verb, it's been.
Been. Right. Right.
Right? So, which is the past participle of the verb to be. And then we use the verb in ing. Ahora sí, the verb in ando endo, right?
All right.
So the structure of the present perfect continuous is simple. It's just combining the auxiliary of the verb to be, the auxiliary of the present perfect, have or has, the auxiliary verb to be in past participle, siempre, siempre past participle, and the verb in
Yeah.
ing. Ready? Which
Right.
means lo que he estado haciendo o lo que ha estado sucediendo o lo que ha
Right.
estado pasando, right? So in that case, it's an action that started in the past and continuously has been happening until our days, right? Until the present. For example, since I had that accident on 10 years ago, I have been having terrible headaches. When it's an example, it's not true, but terrible headaches.
All right.
You know, it's a continuous action that started in the past and continuously go on or has gone on until now, right? So, for example, my dear Manuel, what have you been doing? What have you been doing the last months or lastly? You know what is the meaning of lastly?
Lastly, últimamente.
Últimamente, very good. So,
Right.
what have you been doing lastly?
Well, I have been working short, less. I've
Excellent.
Yeah. been working. Um, I have been uh, watching movies. Um, I have been studying every day.
English or anything else?
No, English, just
Just English. So I have been studying English every day. For lastly, no, for the last
like
2 months. Yeah, more or less.
yeah, yes, 2 months.
For the last 2 months. Very good. Ready? Excellent, Manu. That's great. So in that case, when we talk about the present perfect continuous, is similar to the present perfect, but with the difference that the present perfect continuous is exactly that, continuous. It's an action that never stops. No, it's an action that goes on, goes on, goes on since that
Yeah.
moment until the present. The present perfect simple, it's not like that. It's actions that have happened but separately, like one time in the 2015, another time in the 2017, another time in the 2020, and then different
Okay.
times, but separately. They are not continuous as the present perfect continuous is, right?
Yeah.
For example, if I say, man, where have you gone in vacations? Where have you gone in vacations? Like, in your life.
Uh, well, that answer with the I have been and
What
and
do
the
you think?
verb.
You think so? Are you in vacations in this moment?
No, no.
No.
Right. This is have like 2 years ago I have been in the coast. Um, 2 years later I returned there with my family.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. Any other place? Maybe Cali, Medellin, Bucaramanga, or something like that?
Oh, okay. Um, 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 1 year later, I went to 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 Medellin.
Good. That's great. That's great. Very good. Exactly, Manuel. So in that case, if you want to be specific, you use the simple past as you did it. 2 years ago, I went to the coast. 2 years later, I returned to the coast, and 1 year later, I went to Medellin. Simple past. But
Yeah.
if you want to describe all at the same time, you could say, "Teacher, I've gone," or "I have gone."
I have a phone.
I have gone to the coast, to Medellin, Girardot, Melgar, right? When
Oh,
you
really?
describe
In the
all
same
of them
sentence.
in the same sentence, exactly. If you want to be specific, of course, simple past, perfectly, right? For example, here we have, well, I have worked in different places. I have worked in many places. I worked in a school in the year 2013. I have worked also in a university. I have worked in a language academy, yes. But
Yeah,
when I say I have been working here, it's because in this moment I continue. I
I
started
can.
and the action never stopped. So I
All
have
right.
been doing the action here. I have been working here for 3 years. So it's
All
a
right.
continuous action like that. Okay? Ready?
Okay. Okay.
What do you think, Manny? So far, good, easy questions, difficulties, there, problems.
Uh, good. Good. Well. I see the words is more easy. Well, because I think in my head is the works a little confused.
Okay, okay, no worries. We're going to do a couple of examples more so you can get it straight. Okay? Well, Manu, where do you work? Right now, where do you work?
Uh, right now, whether why I work,
Yeah, where? Where do you work? What is the company where you work?
is a insurance company.
Okay. How long? Well, oh, like, yes, how long have you been working there? How long have you been working there?
Well, in that company, I just started. Right now, I'm in the capacitation, but working with insurance, maybe mm, 1 year, 1 year working in that area.
In that area you have been
Yeah,
working in, I mean, you have been working in with the insurance field for 1 year, right?
yeah, right.
Okay, good. That's it. Like, have you worked in other fields?
Well, I also chef, and I have about 5 year experience, but it's hard work, so very hard. And I'm talking with my wife. She prefers I work in some area who be not what I mean uh, complicated, not no 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 so hard for me. Yeah,
Good, excellent. Well, in that case, remember that when we talk about objects or things that are not human, we use which. So my
yeah,
wife prefers that I work in an area which is not so
which
hard for me, which is not
yeah.
hard. Ready? Muy bien, very good. So the first question, Manu, was how long have you been working with the with the insurance company? Because that's the, like the action that has been continued. So you said, teacher, I have been working in the insurance field for 1 year. That's it.
Yeah.
But then I asked you, like, have you worked in other fields? And you said, yes, teacher, I have 5 years of experience, but in different fields. So you said, once I worked here, I have worked in for 5 years, but once I did it with, say a software company, then I did it with a public company, then I did it with a supermarket, whatever. So
Yeah.
there is a difference between using present perfect, which is have, present perfect continuous, which is have, been, and verb in ing, and using present perfect simple, just have, and then the verb in past participle. Ready?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, Manu, questions over there, difficulties over there?
No, just practice more. Just
Practice
that.
more. Okay, very good. Well, we're gonna have another activity here. Let me just erase here, in which you are going to help me completing another activity over here. Oh my God, where is it? Over here. That's it. So it says, don't tell anybody, but when I was, right? So try to think in something which is maybe embarrassing, you know, something which is embarrassing, and try to tell me the anecdote. Okay. After that, usually when we have an experience embarrassing, we create some fears, no? So we create some fears. For example, don't tell anybody, but when I was in school, I was walking under the rain, under the rain, in the middle of the yard, of the school's yard, and many people were looking at me. A lot of people were looking at me, and I fell down super hard. I fell down, and everybody started to laugh. Like it
Oh,
was a very big, ridiculous in front of a lot of people in the school. Since then, since then, I have been feeling nervous to walk under the rain, or
oh,
to drive also under the rain. Since then, I have been feeling nervous to walk or drive under the rain. You know, Manu, think in an experience like that, something which is embarrassing. Tell me the experience. I was doing this and this happened, and partly or as a consequence of that experience, what has happened or what has been happening in your life. Can be
Oh,
real or invented, doesn't matter.
okay. Well, give me a minute.
Don't worry, go ahead.
Um, well, mm, mm, all right. Yes. Um, don't tell anybody, but when I was in my last work, I was frequently to the restaurant because in that moment I have a terrible stomach,
Mm-hmm.
and since then when uh, I have been to the restaurant, I try to know mm, cómo sería demorarme mucho. Um,
Take
yeah,
too long. Take too long.
don't take too long time in the bathroom, the
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, like that. And in that moment it's a little embarrassing.
Okay. And what
But
has happened since then? Like, has there been a consequence or something or not?
consequences, well, I have to don't take too long in the bathroom because of um, mm, ¿cómo sería llamado de atención? Give me
Like a memorandum, you know,
a memorandum, yeah, because I was going to too many times to the restroom.
to the restaurant.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, okay, okay. Very good. It's one very good. So in that case, that the idea of these kind of tenses, it's learning how can we describe experiences, no? So using past continuous, using simple past, using both of them, it's going to help me to describe different experiences in the past. And
Yeah,
using the present perfect or the present perfect continuous is going to allow me to introduce what has been happened or what has happened afterwards, after that experience, until
yeah,
the present. No,
yeah,
sometimes I can use both. Sometimes I can use only the past. Sometimes I can only use the present perfect, depending on my intention. It depends on what I want. Ready?
right.
Right. In the activity of the week number 8, not number 10. Yes, number 10,
Yeah,
you are going to be required to describe a piece of news, a piece of news like something of celebrities or something of politics or whatever. So
yeah.
the idea is that you can describe these pieces of news with both, with past continuous, simple past, and the present perfect or the present
Okay,
perfect continuous. For example,
okay,
you could say, like, let me just help you here. Wait. We can, for example, use here a piece of news with the past continuous and the simple past and the present perfect, simple and continuous. For example, the last March arrived to the country the first cases of the virus, and since that moment, the government has been trying. Bueno, this piece of news is a little bit old, but cannot be applied. Has
okay.
been trying to reduce the contagion. People has tried to protect or has learned,
All right. Learn.
yeah, to protect themselves at home too. The first months of isolations were, because it finished, were the worst because the
Yeah,
people. Ta, 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 ta. So the pieces of news are going to allow me to introduce all the tenses that we saw today, right? Because if it's the starting of the or the contextualization of the news, past continuous, simple past, and then the consequences of that, I can be described with the present perfect or the present perfect continuous, no?
yeah.
For example, I could say, I don't know, the government. No, let's not talk about politics. Let's talk about eh, some aborigines or indigenous kids,
Yeah.
some indigenous kids were traveling by plane in the Caquetá jungle
Yes.
when the airplane crashed,
Ah, yeah, yes.
you know, and then after that the kids went disappeared
Then got
and
lost. Uh,
got lost. And since that moment, the government has been trying to find them. Bueno, they already appear, but let's suppose that they didn't, so they continue. So I can use also the present perfect,
yeah.
continuous or simple. Okay, Manu, ready?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Checkpoint is with 10.
Yes, one part, the written part,
Okay.
because the listening part is another one that we're going to see the next class,
All
but
right.
this is for the written part, okay?
Okay, teacher.
So, bueno, my friend, questions, difficulties, problems, anything about it?
No, no, yes. I to tell the short story, I have to include the present simple, the simple past, and explain the context of the story.
Exactly, exactly like that. Listo, Manu.
Right.
So, my friend, for the moment of today, that's gonna be all for today. So, see
Okay,
you
teacher.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow at
yes.
7. Yes.
Yes, the same time, the same hour.
Tomorrow at the same time. See you tomorrow with the class number 9.2. Okay. So, have a good night. Sleep tight.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Have
to
a
you,
good
my friend.
night. See you
Goodbye,
later.
Manu. See you later, brother.
Bye.
Bye.